Greetings you all and welcome back to the lesson. We are going to answer the second question that was tested in December 2022. The subject is boardroom dynamics. I'm going to read part A. Maisha Limited adopts a unitary board structure. Identify 5 features of a unitary board structure. 5 features of a unitary board structure. A. Features of a unitary board structure. A unitary board structure is also referred to as a one-tier board structure. What are the features of a unitary board structure or a one-tier board structure? One feature here is that a unitary board structure is a single board of directors. It is a single board of directors. Meaning there is only one. Means one. There is only one board. There is only one board of directors, as opposed to a two-tier board structure where there are 2 boards. In a unitary board structure, there is a single board that is responsible for strategic decision making and oversight. Okay, responsible strategic decision making and oversight. The board is responsible for strategic decision making. It is also responsible for oversight of management. Oversight of management. Oversight of management. You understand? There is no separate supervisory management board, as is the case for a two-tier board. In a two-tier board, there are 2 boards. One that is responsible for decision making and the other one responsible for oversight of management. So that is one feature of a unitary board structure. Another point is in relation to executive and non-executive directors. Executive and non-executive directors. The unitary board structure includes both executive directors, who are typically the senior managers within the company, and the non-executive directors, who are independent directors with no direct involvement in the day-to-day operations of the company. So there is a mix in a unitary board structure. There is that mix of executive and non-executive directors. Executive directors are the ones involved in the day-to-day operations of the company, but the non-executive directors are independent directors with no direct involvement in day-to-day operations. The third feature is integrated roles. Integrated roles. All directors on the unitary board, all of them, both the executive and the non-executive directors, share collective responsibility for the company performance and governance. They work together to make decisions and provide guidance to the management. Another feature will be in relation to what we call the decision-making authority. Decision-making authority. Decision-making authority. How can we explain this feature? Now, candidates, the unitary board has the ultimate authority to make key decisions for the company, including strategic planning, financial matters, including appointment of senior executives, and so on. The board has decision-making authority. Another feature is that this board has a simplified governance structure. A unitary board structure has a simplified governance structure compared to a two-tier board structure. A two-tier board structure is a board that has separate boards. One is called the management board, the other one is the supervisory board. Do you understand? Having a management board and a supervisory board is a complex governance structure, but a unitary board structure is a simplified structure compared to a two-tier board. A unitary board structure offers a more streamlined and efficient governance model. So these are 5 features of a unitary board structure. Number 1, it's a single board of directors. It's just one board that makes strategic decisions and oversights management. Number 2, it comprises of both executive and non-executive directors. And these directors have integrated role. They have collective responsibility. Number 4 is decision-making authority. And lastly, it is a simplified governance structure. These are 5 features of a unitary board structure, 5 marks. That is part A of question 2. Part B reads, a newly formed company is looking to fill up director positions on its board. Assess 5 necessary components in determining the structure of a board. Necessary components in determining the structure of a board. Part B. The question is, components in determining the structure of a board. Components in determining the structure of a board. Components in determining the structure of a board. The first component is the board size. The board size, the size of the board. In establishing a board structure, the question is, a newly formed company is looking to fill up director positions on its board. So when coming up with the board structure, it's important to consider the size of the board size. Determine the appropriate number of directors that will constitute the board. The number, the head count is what we are referring to as the board size. The board size is an important component of the board structure. Board size refers to the number of the directors who will sit on the board. The size should strike a balance between having enough expertise and diversity while ensuring effective decision-making and communication. Because if you have a large board size, that can influence negatively decision-making. So it's important to consider the board size. The board size is a component in determining the structure of a board. Number 2, expertise and skills. Expertise and skills. Expertise and skills is a necessary component in determining the structure of the board. When coming up with the structure, identify the specific expertise and skills required on the board to effectively oversee the company's operations. And that may include financial expertise, industry knowledge, legal knowledge, and so on. So when developing a structure of a board, one component is expertise and skills. 3, diversity. Diversity. Consider diversity in terms of background, consider diversity in terms of experience, gender diversity, ethnic diversity, age diversity, and so on. Why? Because a diverse board can bring different perspectives and enhance decision making. That is the 3rd component. The 4th component is independence. Independence. When constituting a board, it's important to ensure a sufficient number of independent directors on the board to provide unbiased judgment and oversight of management. Then lastly, we have board committees as a component in the determining the structure of a board. Board committees. Board committees. When constituting a board, decide on the number. Decide on the number or the need. Decide on the need. First of all, the need for specialized committees. Firstly, you do what? You decide on the need of specialized committees, because board committees is part of a structure of a board. Board committee is an arm of the board. It is formed part of the structure of the board. So when determining the board structure, it's important to first of all lay out the need for specialized committees like the audit committee, the remuneration committee, the nomination committee, the risk management committee, and so on. Such committees handle specific governance aspects. And it's important at this point to also determine the composition, the roles, the responsibilities of such committees. So these are 5 components in determining the structure of a board. Board size, expertise and skills, diversity, independence, and board committees. 5 components. These are how many marks? These are 5 marks. 5 marks. Then part C of the question, organizational politics are self-serving behaviors that employees use to increase the probability of obtaining positive outcomes in organizations. I repeat, organizational politics are self-serving behaviors that employees use to increase the probability of obtaining positive outcomes in organizations. With regard to the above statement, outline 5 elements of organizational politics. Elements of organizational politics. C. Elements of organizational politics. What are the elements of organizational politics? The first element is self-interest. The first element of organizational politics is self-interest. Organizational politics often involves individuals pursuing their own self-interests and personal agendas rather than the collective interests of the organization. Another element, number 2, is that one of influence tactics. Influence tactics. What does that mean? This means that employees may use various tactics or techniques to gain power and influence. Employees may form alliances. Employees may even use flattery. Employees can withhold information. Why? In order to gain influence. In order to gain power. So influence tactics forms part of what we call organizational politics. Another aspect is that one of informal networks. Informal networks. Informal networks. Politics can manifest in informal networks within the organization where individuals or groups hold disappropriate power and influence, which could be informal. It's not formal influence, but informal. Resource allocation, number 4. Resource allocation is yet another component of organizational politics. Political behavior may be evident in how resources like budgets, like projects or promotions are allocated within the organization, favoring certain individuals and sometimes favoring certain departments within the organization. So resource allocation is an element of organizational politics. 5, decision making. Decision making. Politics can influence the decision-making processes within the organization, leading to decisions that are not necessarily based on merit or organizational goals, but driven by personal or political motivations. And candidates, it's important to note that while some degree of organizational politics may be inevitable, excessive or negative politics can harm the organization's culture. It can harm the organization's, the employees' morale. It may also harm overall performance. That's why effective leadership and positive organizational culture can help mitigate the negative effects of organizational politics. So these are 5 elements. They are not the only elements. There are more elements, but candidates were required to suggest 5. 1 is self-interest. Number 2 is influence. Number 3, informal networks. Number 5, resource allocation. Lastly, decision making. These are 5 elements, 5 marks. So we have answered this is the second question, December 2022. In our next session, we are going to answer question number 3. Thank you for attending the lesson. God bless you. Bye-bye.